I'm actually the boss. I play Lord Boros, who's like the final boss in One Punch Man in season 1.
You play him?
Yeah, I'm Boros.
No way.
I told you, I'm high and popping. I'm trying to get it. That's why I have to get on your podcast because no one knows what I do.
No one. What's up, guys? Today's guest is a professional actor. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Chris J. Alex.
Me? Welcome me? Hey, what's up? Hey, this is a long time coming out. First of all, I got to say, I love your setup.
Thank you, brother. Welcome.
Man, how long have we known each other?
Dude, over a decade. I think over a decade.
White Lotus Kung Fu. That's when I first met Travis, the White Lotus Kung Fu.
This goes back a long time, man.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm so happy that you made your way by. And more so, I'm more happy about Encounter is that we have a professional voice actor, so your audio should be clean and crispy.
Well, now that I'm nervous and my voice is going to be shaking. I can't control the volume of my voice. But yes, I've done a couple of things. I've been lucky to sell a lot of people chicken wings. So if you hear any of the Wingstop stuff, it's me.
Dude, I've also heard your voice in a Jeep commercial, bunch of Jeep franchise campaigns last year. What's some other major commercials that people may recognize your voice from?
You know what? Commercially, those were kind of like the main two things. But I always I started off with I think my first job. An original animation was Catcher Freeman from the Boondocks.
Yes, which is one of my favorite. And if you guys don't know what the Boondocks is, you're tripping.
Yes, you got to know it. So, it was funny because the first time that I had, the first original animation I ever did was the Boondocks, and how that came to be was kind of weird. You remember when MySpace was a thing?
Yes, I do.
All right, I don't know how old
I need to make sure my account's not active.
I'm pretty sure mine's still on there.
All right.
Yeah, but when MySpace was a thing, I reached out. I got a voiceover reel together, and I just kind of reached out to people. I'm the kind of guy that checks for credits. You know what I'm saying? So then I hit up somebody on MySpace, and long story short, somebody had responded, and it was a producer from the Boondocks. He's like, "Yo, I heard your reel. I really like what you did. I might have something for you." And I'm thinking in my head like, "Yeah, right. Okay, sure, Mr. Boone." Because I really watched that show. So I had looked him up online. And sure enough, it was Carl Jones. He was a producer on the show. And I'm like, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's weird. So he actually came to my house. I didn't have a house. I had like this little apartment.
I was going to say, he came in. This is the start of the career, right?
No. This is the start. I literally was, the spot was so small. It's about from where that light is to this. That was like the whole thing.
Wow.
It was a whole thing. And he had came over, my girl had made him like some Japanese food. I mean, she's Japanese, so all her food, it's just food.
It's all Japanese. It's food.
Yeah, it's just food. But,
just food.
But if you're not used to that cuisine, it is Japanese food by default. So she made him some food, and we didn't have no furniture. So we had like the SpongeBob table that was just on the ground, and he just pulled up some rug, And, he sat down and chopped it up. He was like, "Yeah, I like what you guys did. I like the way you sounded. So I might have this thing for you." Originally, the role was for another actor. He was a big name, and he was like, the content's a little racy. I don't know if he's gonna do it.
Totally.
But if it ends up not going, then I want to have you in. And I was like, cool, sure. I was just elated that he was there,
Totally. At the SpongeBob.
Yeah, with the sponge. Like, he was such a good sport. Now the girl could cook, you know what I'm saying? She could cook, exactly. She could burn, But it was just a surreal moment that he came to this little itty bitty apartment. Dang. And I remember I would have the bed on the wall. Because there was no room. Like, I literally, when I got up for bed, we put the bed on the wall, and we would eat on the SpongeBob on the ground. Yeah. But long story short, called me in, and I was super nervous. It was my first time in. Afion Crockett was there, D-Ray was there, and then the first person I ever saw work was John Witherspoon.
Wow.
I was like, yo, this is John, and he was doing the scene with Uncle Ruckus, like, because Gary Anthony Williams, he wasn't there, but he was just doing this thing, and I would see him perform, and I'm like, yo, they're making this show. Yeah. Then he was like, all right, CJ, you up? And I went in that booth. I was like, oh, okay, I got to kill it. And I'm just like, I'm a little nervous, right? I'm a little nervous following John Witherspoon,
Totally.
Because he's a legend. It's like you grow up watching these cats.
All of those names you named aren't just like voice actors. Those are just comedic geniuses who are actors who did voices. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. So I ended up doing the episode. And at this point, I'm super jaded because like I had done some things before. Like my first video game was supposed to be Spec Ops, right?
Yeah.
And then I had did my whole session. I was casted in a lead. And then, you know, later on they had told me that the model had changed. So it wasn't me. And it kind of killed me because I was just like, so after that I was just kind of like really jaded. And then when I got the thing and I went for Boobas, I was like, man, yeah, we'll see when it airs on thing. You know, hopefully they keep me.
And how many episodes or seasons were you in?
It was just one. It was
one season.
It was the story of Catcher Freeman. It was a dope.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah,
okay.
It was season 2, episode 12.
So you'll laugh about this. This is my Boondocks story to bring it full circle. One day I was watching the show and they always had like random like little fights in it.
Yeah.
But then one day they had an episode like it was the Attack of the Crazy Kung Fu Bitch or something like that.
Yeah.
I was watching the episode and mid-episode she goes, I do secret style. It goes White Lotus Kung Fu.
I was like, that.
That's my dad's style. What the?
I remember.
I went home and I was tripping out and I was like, yo, Dad, I'm watching this cartoon, dog. And like, they said White Lotus Kung Fu. And he's like, what show is this? He's like, I don't know that show. I like scrolled at IMDb. He goes, oh, I trained the creators a long time ago. They studied White Lotus under me.
That's crazy.
I'm like, yo, what a trip, man. Yeah, what a trip.
I remember that episode too. When he said White Lotus Kung Fu, I was like,
oh yeah. It had me shook. And of course, my dad, the legend he is, trained those guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, your whole family though. It's like so let's bring it full circle. Like, how did you get to all this? like, how did you get to all this? Because I just remember, you know, I would go to White Lotus. Like, there was a couple of spots you would go to train. Like, if you were in film TV, it was always Valley, and it was always your gym. You know, White Lotus
and Geo Gymnastics Olympica.
Geo was also cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, all the fight guys would go to your spot. Like, how did that?
It's so crazy, right? Yeah. Man, I would say the Cliff Notes story is I just been blessed. I just ride the wave and I never get off it, bro. Yeah. Like off the heels of White Lotus, we outgrew that one, moved into Jam.
Yep.
And I quickly just saw like, you know, more than anything that Jam was becoming more than a gym. It was becoming like a brand. Like, bro, the coolest thing to me was our Instagram. We had a couple hundred followers. I told Aaron and Jake, I was like, I'm going to dedicate a year to pushing this. We had 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, we have something here.
Just put in work. That's what it is.
Yeah, we honestly in retrospect, we were sleeping on the social media outreach that we could have had. Yeah. So over the years, I was like, you know what? Let's just start doing everything. Let's start podcasting. Let's start Instagramming. Let's start a YouTube again. And so the last calendar year, I've had the chance to sit down with old friends like you and, reminisce.
Blow it up.
You know?
And you blowing it up,
it's
man.
Crazy.
Oh, speaking of viral videos, you remember what was the thing that we did with Dumbfounded? Remember that?
Dude, I was going to... Yo, Connor, please on YouTube type out freestyle battle knockout.
That was like one of my first. It was like kind of like it was like a mini stunt job. It was more like a it wasn't like a stunt job, but it was kind of like what would you explain that as?
I would say, you know, because it was a viral video, and if it doesn't come up, look up a Dumbfounded. Also, Connor. Yeah. So basically, long story short, we were contacted by Dumbfounded, who was a battle rapper at the time, and while he was just about to start his YouTube channel. And I was contacted by a good friend of his who ended up being like my friend's brother. And he was like, we have this pitch. We're going to stage a fake fight in the middle of a battle to launch his YouTube. Yeah. And Connor.
Yeah, dude.
And you know what's crazy? I think on his original channel,
walk him through it.
3-4 million views, right?
Yeah.
So here we go, Dumbfounded. You get into a fake fight right now. I come in, hit the 540. Cowboy switch. Dumbfounded's back in.
It looked so good, though. It looked so good. See that acting right there.
Yo, replay it from the top, Connor. Yo, and the coolest part that I'll never forget is like he spits like the end of a fake bar. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what'd you say?
Dude.
Bro,
Dude,
what people don't know about this video is we're outside of the original White Lotus. A second ago, if you pause it, you can actually see the White Lotus banner in the background.
Oh, okay.
Andrew Eng's there wearing a Lost Boys t-shirt. That's Solomon Brendy picking you up off the ground right there.
Like some legit
Lost Boys member.
in there, man.
Man.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, time flies. How long ago?
I don't know. I think, dude, I got to say, if that was White Lotus, that's at least 8-9 years ago.
Oh, my gosh. Yo.
That's crazy.
We got some time, brother.
That is crazy, bro. And you know what's crazy is I almost forgot about that video until you brought it up, right?
Yeah. I think I got to go to White Lotus free for a year. That one, like I was like, yeah, I'm the dude in the video. Travis knows me. And
Dang, 2010.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, full circle. You're involved in a lot of cool stuff.
Man,
tons of movies, the podcast, and
it's crazy,
and
bro.
I'm doing
to see
all
it.
right.
It's crazy. No, you know what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. Don't sleep on you. And one of the things I want to talk about, amongst many, is your most recent project, right? Yes. So along the lines of voices, there's a little game that you are a character in.
Yes. So I am actually the fourth horseman of fourth horseman of the apocalypse. I play Strife in Darksiders.
Darksiders, the new game on PlayStation, correct?
Yeah. So actually, it's on everything. So it came out on Google Plus. Google Stadia. Google Stadia, and then now actually on February 14th, Valentine's Day, for all the couples out there. It's actually going to come across all the platforms.
So that's what I've been seeing is like it'll be on PlayStation. It's coming out.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So if you're going to be around on the 15th, I have a little meet and greet at Game Realm in Burbank. I don't know when y'all going to air this, but hopefully, if you got some time, come down to Game Realm in Burbank, and I will be signing and doing all this stuff, and won't be charging nothing. I mean, well, they'll be charging for the game because they have to make money. But just come and hang out. I'll sign the game, get pictures, and all that good stuff.
That's wild, man. Yeah. And how long were you on that game for? Because video games are a little different for people that don't know.
Yeah.
They go in stages. There's like development stage, animation stage, motion capture stage, and then the voice actors overlay stuff before and after. Mm-hmm. So there's games that I work on and do mocap on. I've never even met the voice actors because you guys were in booths the whole time. So,
yeah. That one was a weird one because I have a nose like a dog. It's always wet. All right. So I had actually got into that one through Keith Aram. Now, if you don't know Keith Aram, pretty much he directs all the Call of Duties. Yes. He started off with music, but he's just an insanely talented man. And I'd known him for years. I had actually stalked him on Facebook for a while, like for years. And then he always have a booth at Comic-Con and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, blah, 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 because I would audition for his games and I would never quite book. So I was like, hey, man, what's going on? What you got going on? Hey, remember my face? And as luck would have it, I got my first gig with him. So him and his wife, they both direct.
Yes. Okay.
And I did Transformers: Rise of the Darkspark, where I did Drift, and I worked for his wife. And then after that, I had worked for him. Wow. So they were, Val, she was like, I think you would be right for this character because low key I already auditioned for it through my agent, but. I mean, I don't think I got to the next round because I must have not did what they great. And then she reached out. She's like, I think you should read for this. And I didn't tell her. I was like, oh, I already did. But I was like, yeah, I'll read it. So I did it again. And I was double down. I got a call. She was like, yo, I think they like you. We want to book it. Wow. And how these things work is because, like I said, I never get attached to a role because, just there's working voiceover guys and then there's celebrities.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of times, we learn not to get attached to roles because sometimes, they end up wanting to bring a celebrity, especially when it's a big property or a big IP or that, that's been established. Sometimes they want to bring in a celebrity. So I was like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my sessions, do a good job, and then let's, hopefully they keep me. And then, the release date kept getting closer and closer. Then I kept getting sessions, and I'm like, I think I might be the guy. And then they did, the Comic-Con trailer, and it was my voice. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I'm still not in the clear, though, because, what if they, they switch me out? Yeah, what I'm saying? Like, who's going to remember just the Comic-Con trailer when there's a whole game to be made? So, long story short, they ended up sticking with me. And I think they just really, really liked what we did. I mean, obviously, because I'm there. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but, But they liked what we did, and they ended up keeping it, and I was just like super, super thankful.
Damn, that's wild. And so for a game like that, how long are the sessions that you do for people that are just interested in motion capture or like video game work?
It depends on the game. I've worked on some games like the really intensive ones that are just really, really long. Like I did God of War for maybe 4 years.
Wow.
I was on that show before they hired Chris Judge, and I was actually in the original pitch that they brought to Sony in order to greenlight the game.
No way.
So yeah, I tell everybody this, but I was like, the reason why you can recall the acts is because of the conversation we had when we were mocapping, and you already know when you're doing a lot of motion capture, they're trying to figure it out, and sometimes they work in with the animation medium, 100%. So sometimes a lot of the moves are just moves on a board. Yeah. And then I'm like, sometimes you have to explain, like, hey, there's guys that actually have to do this. So, brother might need a break.
Yeah, we got a workshop this.
Yeah, we're running a lot. So then they were like, okay, so, I was like, it's cool. He has an axe now. I was like, well, can he recall it? He was like, nah, it'd be too much like Thor. And I'm like, well, tell you what, because I think it'd be really cool. Why don't I just throw the axe, right? And then I can just do the motion like I'm going to catch it. And then if you don't like it, just chop the other half off, and then you don't have it. But since we're in the volume, why don't we just capture the whole thing? And then you have the option. Fast forward
to the game.
You catch the axe now.
That's crazy.
So that was great. But the problem, and it's not even a problem, it's more from my own vanity, is like, no one will ever know that happened, because I would literally went to like stuff like PlayStation Experience and stuff like that. And when you're in a room doing mocap, there's like 5 people, like there's very few. And then you go, and then the world sees, and it's this grandiose thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, hey, I did that. And everyone's like, yeah, sure you did.
I know. It's a common thing, especially, not only just as actors, but especially since you've done stunts as well too.
Yeah.
There's so many times where we're behind the scenes pitching stuff, or we're in script meetings, and we'll give an idea that literally changes the concept of the whole script.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have buddies like James Young, who he's sitting in these meetings at Marvel, and he's telling them which weapon and which skill or trait each superhero should use. People have no idea. It's so crazy, at the end of the day.
James is amazing.
It's a faceless job, right?
Yeah,
that's what we like to say. Yeah, it's a faceless job.
But to answer your question, it depends on the game. Since Darksiders, it was around like maybe 13 or 16 hours to play it. I did maybe I remember doing like maybe a dozen sessions or more.
Damn, and how long is each session?
So every session is like 4 hours, and it just depends on how much yelling you have to do, because it's really tough to do games, especially when you really want to like feel it. Like it's kind of the hardest work to do, just because it is so intensive. Especially if you ever done I've done a Call of Duty game before, and you kind of just got to yell, and they're getting better about, especially the last thing I did. They're really good about just pacing it out. But I would say that's one of the most challenging things.
Bro, I will attest to this. Full disclosure, I'm going to embarrass myself right now. I've never told this story publicly.
Oh, tell me.
True crime, Streets of Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Which is now Sleeping Dogs. I was a voice in that game.
Oh,
and
snap.
in that game, I was just talking, doing all that, and they're like, all right, now we got to get to your death cycles. And I just had to yell and scream. 30 minutes in, I almost passed out and blacked out.
Yeah.
Because my legs were locked. I was just standing up, and I just took for granted, oh, this would be way easier than running around. 2-hour audio session was one of the hardest jobs I've done in my life.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough, and it's funny because there's really no technique to it. Because even as a voiceover artist, sometimes the scream that they want, it's not this staged control. They want a full raw for blood, and so it's just like you kind of just gotta do it. So you kind of gotta pace your sessions out. So I was like, hopefully I don't have to sell no chicken wings this week. I'm yelling, but for the most part they're getting really good at it. So when I did Darksiders, there wasn't too much yelling. There was. But it was definitely more story driven, and I'm kind of the more snarky, guns a-blazing type dude. So I just really, really loved the character.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was about, I think maybe about 12 sessions.
Dang. And so when you get these like voiceover sessions, this game or any of the games that you've been involved in, are you at home practicing the voice and the character that you're going to play, like the same way that an actor would go over their lines and stuff? Or?
Well, here's the thing. Like everybody has like, everyone has like, you know, their characters that they workshop. Yeah. So I have like, it just depends on the voice. So normally when you get an audition, you look at the sides, and then, or you look at maybe you get a character or a picture of it, and you're like, oh, he's a bigger guy, probably sounds like this, all right, and maybe he has like some grovel, and you kind of make the voice up. So a lot of the times, you know, you'll have like your character types that you kind of just go through and you mess around with, and then you kind of dial it in with the creatives, like, okay, and then sometimes they'll throw you a bone, like, okay, well, do this guy too, because most of the time with video games, since, you know, it's so tight and, you know, script wise, and they don't want stuff leaking. A lot of the times you are seeing stuff for the first time as you're recording.
100%.
And you're like, so it's really difficult as an actor to be like, okay, well, what's the relationship with this guy? It's kind of like, well, this is the context. This is what the guy before says to you. And you're kind of in this section. Okay, act. And you're like, okay, okay. And you do it. And, you know, and that's where you really lean on your directors to kind of get contextually, what are you doing with relationships and all those motivations that you have as an actor prior to, you know, if you can, you know, build a story and stuff. But, you know, for the most part, just the way the medium is you really don't know what you're doing until you're there. Yeah. For a lot of the times, and then sometimes you are. And
excuse my ignorance, but I just got to ask.
No, it's all good.
When you're in there, because you are just doing obviously audio and not visual, do you go off book, or do you keep your script in there?
You never memorize.
Okay.
Never.
So that's a huge perk of it.
Yeah, you never.
You don't have
but
to
here's
be
the thing,
book.
you know, you try to familiarize yourself with it, but then sometimes you're not seeing it at all. Like literally, they'll be like, okay. So wait.
No, you're chilling.
Okay, cool.
You're chilling. These mics are so good.
Yeah, it's my PO. He knows I'm here. Relax, I'm good. But a lot of the times you will be seeing it for the first time, and you just go. So there's no way to memorize it.
Totally.
Like a lot of the times, even when we did Darksiders, like I didn't know what I was going to say until I was there. It's like, oh, okay, well this happens with this part of the screen, okay, and this is where this. All right, cool, and then go.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't know.
That's dope, man. Yeah. And Connor, pull up that list really quick, the notes. And besides Darksiders, you've actually had a couple of projects most recently come out.
I've got two.
I know. Click that one, Connor. And this one right here that we're taking a look at for those for those of you listening to us just on the audio podcast, what we've just pulled up right now is Cartoon Network 2020, and this is a version of
Thundercats. Yes.
Let's go.
And I am Panthro in Thundercats.
So dope, man.
Dude, I am still beside myself. That it was just so fun to do. Everybody on there was, you know, if you look at our cast, like a lot of those guys are anime legends. So it's just like, it was so fun to just play with those guys and learn a lot. And I had actually worked with Max before. So Max, our Lion-O, is actually Saitama in One Punch Man.
No way.
Yeah, he's actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was Saitama in One Punch Man, and we didn't work together, but we had already had scenes together because at the end of season 1, I'm actually the boss. I play Lord Boros, who's like the final boss in One Punch Man in season 1.
You play him?
Yeah, I'm Boros.
No way.
I told you, I'm out here popping. I'm trying to get it. That's why I have to get on your podcast, because no one knows what I do.
No one knows any of it, because it's just a voice.
Yeah,
you're the voice.
Yeah.
Damn, my dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, anime-wise, like the roles people know me for, there was AC/DC and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and then there's Lord Boros.
Wow.
Yeah, the big guy with the purple hair and one eye. And so then when we both got cast, and I'm like, oh, so who's Lion-O? He was like, Max Middleman. I was like, Max! So I called him up. I was like, Max, I've got some interesting news. So are you doing the thing with the alien cats? He's like, well, I don't know. Are you doing the thing with alien cats? I was like, you're totally up for the cats. Like, oh my God. Yeah. So we really just, it was just awesome to already have that familiarity with him. And then just to see him work, like, it's a fun show. I probably had more fun on that show than I've had in a very long time. It was so fun, and everybody we had in was so talented. Like low key, I'm kind of like, I'm watching people go. So there's a difference between, original animation
Yes.
and then video games. So the video games, for the most part, are sometimes you're by yourself. Anime, you're always by yourself because you're looping, you're matching the lip flaps.
Yes.
But in original animation, they're animating to you.
Based off of what you say.
Off of what you say. Yeah. So you can play with timing to an extent. You can play with cadence. There's all these more things that you're not linked into. Yeah. And then we're ensemble. So there's literally like some days we would have like 7 people in the room and they would all do in their lines. And I'm just like, I'm beside myself. Some people were legacy, like they had worked on the first Thundercats. And I'm like, oh, and then some people were like really, really like people who, because I'm a little bit of a voiceover nerd. So it's like, I know people. I'm like, oh, they're coming in. Oh my gosh. Oh. Yeah. So, and then I'll be waiting for my turn. And I'm just like, oh, don't blow it. Don't blow it. Don't blow it. And I would do a thing like, yeah, totally lean into it. Yeah, I'm super excited. And it's just so humbling to see so many people at that level work. And they're just like,
dang.
Yeah, everybody was on it. So it helped me raise my game. And by the end of that show, I was like, man, I remember one time when, you ever get like, you're on a show and you do something that, and people like, oh, and you get a real reaction out of it. I remember I got like everyone knew it was in the script, so you know what you're gonna say. But then I got like a laugh, like a really real laugh. They kind of like stumbled on the line a bit, like, so it's like they laughed over my line a bit. And I was like, oh, that's satisfying.
Yeah.
like to totally, finally make your peers, like, you're like, I got one, I'm funny. I'm funny too.
That's so cool.
I had more fun on that show. So when people see the rest of it, it's slowly coming out. So right now, excuse me, you can see the first 2 episodes on Cartoon Network's app.
Yes.
And those are fun. But I'm telling you, once we get into it, like it's such a fun show. Yeah. And it's not way different, but it's a much different take on the original Thundercats. So the original Thundercats, it was serious at a point, and it was very dramatic.
Yeah.
And ours is much more, comedic.
It's lighter.
Yeah, it's comedic.
Totally,
it's funny, but it's like once you kind of get past the initial tone, like the show is just fun. It is so fun, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. I have like an episode where I'm kind of like, Panthro's got like a nice little episode, so you got him. It's gonna be fun.
Do you know how many there are in total?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell.
It'll be a full season though.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did some.
Dope. Super dope. Super dope. Hey, O'Connor, then click the first link that's at the very top of that stuff right there. And so this is along the lines. Actually, the second link. Sorry. We'll go back to that.
Look at this man. He can't prepare. Oh, you got Deathstroke.
And so this would be the 3rd most recent project, I'd say, in the resume that's come out recently.
You know what's funny is they came out at the same time,
which is nuts. Yeah. And I only knew this from your social media because like the posts were coming around like staggered around the same times,
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. So they kind of sneak released it. You know what I'm saying? So how I actually found out that you can watch Thundercats is. They were just tweeting, and I was like, oh, they're tweeting. What? I'm like, oh, well, I know what I'm doing Friday.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with this show, they kind of sneak released it on CW Seed, which is their app.
So
you can watch it on their app, the first episode. And I was like, well, when is this coming out? Oh, they like, January 6th. I'm like, what? And then, so literally, this is another one of those jobs where I kind of just like, I went in. It was originally I was just supposed to do like. I was just trying to do scratch vocal. That's what I thought it was going to be. Okay. So I got in. I was like, cool. We go in. I record it, and then if it becomes, if they end up going with me, great. If not, I'm just not going to get attached to it because that's one of those things where it's like, they were looking at a big celebrity because it's such a big property, you know. And so I was like, I'm just going to go in and do my thing. Whatever happens, happens. And then. I'm Googling myself like I do because I want to see what my IMDb score is doing. So, help a brother out that way. I was Googling myself. I was like, what's going on this week? Where am I getting distracted? And then I saw like Deathstroke. I was like, and I thought like a PA had made a mistake and like accidentally like put my name. I was like, no, I didn't tell anyone about this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, am I in trouble? What happened? And then I had found out that they had announced it at New York Comic-Con. And it had made the trades, and I'm like, what? This is my thing. And I was only in there for like one time.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like normally, sometimes when you're doing a show, you'll have pickups. You know, you have stuff like, oh, this line really was, there was kind of softer. We want to change the delivery, and there was nothing. We just one thing and got it all. And so it really took me back. I was like, what? And I was just like super, super happy. And I think what happened, and this is purely conjecture. I think what happened was, since I was on Thundercats, it was the same executive producer. You know what I'm saying? It was just Sam Register. So I was like, oh, I think they kept me because I did a great job on Thundercats.
Nice.
So it was that. And then also we had Greg Berlanti, who pretty much owns all of all the Batgirl, and those are his shows. So I was just like super excited to be on his radar, you know what I'm saying, as well as Sam Register. And what you guys might not have known is I actually did stunts on the first Supergirl. I was the stunt double for Martian Manhunter for the last 4 episodes.
Way.
Yeah.
Okay. I've done a couple episodes of Supergirl.
Yes. I didn't do it when they were on CW. I did it when they were on CBS.
Cool.
So it was the first season. I was just like, yeah, maybe I might be on the radar. So, Greg, if you're watching, I can do the things at the stuff and say the things and feel stuff.
Yeah, that's super wild. And so, like, what's your involvement on Deathstroke specifically? Like, which character can everyone look out for?
I'm the bad guy.
Okay.
Say hello to the bad guy.
Cool.
I play a very good bad guy. I'm sorry, I did the thing that you said not to do. I actually play the Jackal. I am the guy who fights Deathstroke.
Dope.
So yeah, this is 12 episodes of pure and utter madness. I can't wait for the rest of the world to see, the rest of this show. But that was another thing too that was just so fun to do, and I just can't wait for everyone to see it. It's gonna be fun. So Deathstroke's Knights and Dragons, that's on CW Seed. I think it's just CW, but it's the CW Seed app. Check it out.
Dope.
First episode.
Super dope.
Yes.
And now Connor he clicked it a second ago. He clicked on your IMDb, and we're not going to go line by line.
Well, now I'm embarrassed.
The question that I'm going to ask you is, out of all these credits that are listed amongst here, and Connor's pulling it up for us right now.
You're going to ask me to choose which one of my children are my favorite?
100%, dog.
Well,
so I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Okay, all right.
And
I'm going to be
this is
honest.
a question I'm asking. How many credits are there, Connor? Scroll really fast.
Oh, gosh.
100 and how many? 32 acting credits?
Oh.
So my question for you, sir, of the 132 credits listed on there, and some that may not be listed on there, what's your favorite one? And what one was the most rewarding?
What one was, okay, so how do we pivot this?
Because they could be 2 totally different ones. And generally speaking, they are for people.
Honestly, I feel like, to answer this really, really truthfully, if we just take it by animation.
Okay.
We take it by animation because I got to separate them to different things, different mediums. I would say Thundercats because I have always grown up watching Thundercats. And to just work with the same producer that did Teen Titans, because I still am a big Teen Titan fan.
Totally.
Like, my first video game job I ever had was Jumper.
Okay.
It was they had like the video, they had the movie Jumper, then they had the little video game Jumper. Yeah. And that was like my first one that I got paid for. And I remember seeing Kari Payton on the call sheet. Wow. Kari Payton does Cyborg, and if you watch Walking Dead, he's Ezekiel. He's the guy with he's the guy with the, so I just thought he was so cool. And I remember asking, I was like, hey, I see Kari Payton. Can I come back and just say hi when he's there? And then they were like, yeah, sure. Creepy, but yeah, okay. And I met him. I was like, you Kari Payton? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay,
thanks.
I didn't know what to say.
That's it.
I would every day I would watch Teen Titans, and then as a kid, I had every toy because my mom was a comic book collector. Many people don't know that. Like, my mom was a legit comic book collector. Like, those boxes we had literally over 800. Like, the books we had, all Golden Age, Silver Age. The books we had, I would have never had to work again if we had kept them.
Wow,
we didn't. Yeah, but long story short, I would have to say Thundercats because I had everything. I had the Thunder Tank. I had the little base with the head going. So I have vivid memories of just Thundercats, and that was one of the few auditions where I got it, and I read for it, and I was like, this is mine. This is mine. I don't care what is it? This is mine. And just to see it happen, I actually did that with Killer Instinct 2 for Tusk. I really wanted to play Tusk. But yeah, that one probably animation-wise, that was for me just because, I mean, Thundercats.
Grew up as a fan.
Yeah, so yeah, that probably that one. On camera-wise, I would have to go with my latest just because the situation was so cool. And so Daka, which is now Out of the Fire, it's Sam Hargrave's first movie that he directed.
Directing, yeah.
And
first unit directing.
Yes. So just the story, I remember hearing that I met Sam early on. Like he did his first, like I remember like helping Sam. He had a short called Fatal. And
I
then,
know Fatal.
Yep,
Yeah,
remember
totally.
Fatal? I was just like, and I just always thought, I was like, man, that dude is sharp. He's gonna be something. So they wanted to do ADR. Me, I had the audio setup.
Yep. You're one of the few guys I know that's always had audio set
I had an audio setup. If you're an actor and you get yourself an audio setup and find a way to do voice, it's just amazing. It's one of the things that just keeps paying itself. But I had audio setup and I was like, dude, you could do your ADR here. And I literally just left them alone. I was like, man, here's a kid, just lock up when you're done. I went to the store, like, they were there. They did the ADR the whole movie. Fast forward, I hear he's directing something with Chris Hemsworth. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. All right. And I called him. Well, I lined him in India. And I was like, look, I am not one of those guys that are going to hustle you every 5 minutes because you have a film. I'm one of those guys that are 100% going to hustle you at least once if you have a film.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. You don't have to give me anything. And I speak producer too. So I was like, you don't have to give me anything. Just let me audition for anything if you have it. And I was like, here's what I will do because I speak producer. They're probably going to give you an X amount of guys. It's going to be an action film because that's the type of stuff you do. So tell you what, if there's any scene, I will fly myself out because I have the money. I'll fly myself out. I'll put myself up.
Wow.
Just get me a decent scene and I will bring pads and hit the ground for you because I know what having footage with Chris Hemsworth would do for me as an actor. He's like, well, tell you what, there's not much. He was like, how's your French? I was like, mieux que avant, ce n'est pas problème parce que je n'ai un ami qui peut pratiquer avec moi, c'est pour ça, je peux pratiquer. I was like, yeah, I speak a little bit. And he was like, yeah, I've been putting in work years ago.
Yeah.
Because I saw what opportunity speaking the little bit of Japanese that I could brought for me.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, let me call Sarah Finn and tell her to see you. And then if you book it, we'll pay you just like we pay everyone else and all that. But he was like, yeah. So long story short, I do the audition both in French and English. I ended up booking it. Wow. And I was like, great. I booked it. And then my visa didn't get through in time just because show stuff happened. So the role that I originally went out for, he was like, yeah. And then the producer called. He was like, CJ, we're shooting your scene tomorrow.
Wow.
And, they had overnighted some stuff, to the consulate in India, and it just didn't go through. And I was just like, And then he's like, we're going to talk to Joe and see about writing you in and having this. I was like, cool. So long story short, ended up having a different character. I went to Thailand, we shot it, and I just think the story and just I think that was like the single most thing. Is like if you just can read the tea leaves and you're ready for an opportunity, and you ask, meaning you ask with the intent of like, look, you don't have to give me anything, but here's why I am worthy of that shot if you give it to me.
Yeah.
And then that was just one of those things where it came together and it's like, so I would say on camera, and then it was penned by Joe Russo. Come on, The Russo brothers, they are. Someone stop it.
For those of you that have no idea who the Russo brothers are, they're the guys that directed Captain America. They've been doing all of the Marvel movies for the last 5 years.
Yeah, and then Arrested Development, Community. So I was like, I'm a big comedy guy too. So I was just like, oh, these guys get it. Oh, so that was kind of like that was a dream come true.
That's
so
crazy, man. So you put yourself out there, and that's what happens.
And just because Sam is such a dope person. Like, he's a good dude, and it's just good to see like the good people winning. So it's just like, man. It was just the whole thing. I've always admired Sam. Like, if you look at my YouTube, like, he was gracious enough to do like a little YouTube video with me with the Captain America stuff, and he rolled out with the shield. Like, Sam is one of my favorite people in the world just because he is awesome. And just to see a good guy like that get a great film and a real film with, it's easily probably my favorite one to date. I would say the greatest thing in the world has not been done yet.
Totally. That's a crazy story, though. That's a really crazy story. It's all kind of full circle, too, especially with Sam being involved.
Did I talk too much? Did I talk too much?
No, bro. No, I'm dying, bro.
I know, because I know sometimes you're like, you sometimes, like, even when I'm interviewing people, you have those people that just don't talk, and then you have some that talk too much.
Nah, bro.
So if I talk too much, brother, be like, hey,
chilling, dog.
Truncated.
No, we're chilling, man. These are all, like, invaluable stories, man. Like, even I'm learning. Like, that's the cool thing about why I even started this podcast was, A, it's a platform for me to showcase friends like you, but B, it's also a way for us to reminisce and catch up on all the stuff that we missed in each other's lives the last decade. Like, I had no idea you're in One Punch Man, and like all these things. Because you're a
busy dude.
Exactly. We're all so busy at this point in our lives, that like it takes a podcast for us to sit down and have a chat like this and actually like catch up on each other's lives. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no,
it's kind of like comedians go getting coffee. It's like,
exactly. We're just not rich. And like, Jewish.
Yes. We're getting there. We're learning.
But those are the people that we hustle and audition for.
Yeah, we're learning, you know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah, man. No, I appreciate it, dog. It's been crazy, man. And so, like, one of the other reasons why I invite guests like you on here is you're one of the first voice actors that we've had. And that's obviously not the only thing you do, but it's one of the things that I could say that you specialize in comparative to our other guests. Yeah. So for someone out there that's like listening and they're thinking about maybe pursuing a career in this, is there like a path, or maybe like not even a path? Is there like a checklist of maybe some starter stuff or advice you'd give to someone interested in voice acting?
Oh, I can give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you quick. Okay, so here's what you do. Buy equipment, okay? Get Pro Tools. And they're not paying me to say this. I'm just saying get Pro Tools, because when you have 5 auditions a day, you need to be able to send it out and all that. Get Pro Tools, get a good mic. Don't spend anything less than $200. Don't spend anything more than $200 unless you have a room, to actually soundproof. So get a dope setup. Get you that. Get in a wall. You know what I'm saying, where it's not reverberating sound. And then there's 2 things. Watch whatever medium you want to see, just pay attention to whatever medium you want to work in. If you want to get in video games, watch video games. You want to do, you want to do audiobooks. There's so many sectors, do that. But you have to be in a place where they are making the content you want to work in. And the reason why is, even though you can record anywhere, just the opportunities and the agents to actually, who are going to want to meet you, they're going to be in that city. So you have to go there. You have to be in a place where they're making the content you want to make. And then having that, get involved in the community. There's so many people, that have so much knowledge and so much talent and so much insight that if you take them to lunch, pay money, do whatever you got to do, because nobody's ever been broker than me. Trust me. I have been broke. I've robbed banks and donated sperm in the same day. And I've actually donated sperm to rob a bank. But I'm saying no one has been as broke as me. Not having money is not an excuse. Carl Jones came to my house. We made him food because we couldn't take him out.
On the SpongeBob table.
Huh? Yep.
On the SpongeBob table.
On the SpongeBob table, a little $5 table. Thank God we had the table, because he would have just had to hold it like this. It would have been a bad luck. But long story short, get involved in the community. Do what you can. Take a class. Things cost money. Get over it. Yes, I'd pay to learn. Now you be careful with your money. Don't just sign up for anything, but do your due diligence. And if it's a good class, pay the money. It's going to pay dividends, and you've got to be with the workers. And then just grind. You don't have to be perfect. God knows I was horrible. I was so bad when I started. I remember I would go in, I bombed like the first 3. It was painful.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just set my mind to it. It was like, okay, I suck at this. Let me go get better at that.
Yeah.
And then I did. And then it's just the resilience. So if it's something that you need to do, go do it. But honestly, in the climate that we're in, I'm gonna give you the realest answer that I possibly can is, in this day and age, if I have to tell you how to do it, it's not for you.
100%.
Because there's information is right at your fingertips. So, you scroll on the Instagram, like the thirst traps. That's good. She looks good. Now after that, go do the thing. Go better yourself. Go find the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I get that. I get probably hundreds of messages a day that all ask the same question, which is, how do I get into stunts?
Yeah.
And I spend my time answering them, and I have a thing that I'll give people advice on. But at the end of the day, it's like, I didn't ask anyone that question.
Yeah. You
I just went out there and grinded.
You got to be where the work is.
You got to get out there and grind, man.
You know what you should do? You should write, you should do a little PDF. You should do a little PDF, right? And that's deliver, and then charge $25 for it. And anybody wants it,
that would
figure
be
it out.
interesting.
You just make a PDF. So like, how do I get into this? I'm like, okay, there's a PDF, and you will see it right there. Now write the information. Give them good information. They know, but you will see who will actually take the time and invest in their career.
Totally.
And then it's just like, it's all right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree, man. Well, all we can do is provide it. Now we see who takes it.
The game should be thrown, not told, baby. We're selling game out here.
And again, just really quick to excuse my ignorance on it, but are there specific agents for voice separate from acting, or is it all under the same umbrella?
Well, here's the thing. There are certain people that specialize in voiceover that have a really strong, like voiceover department. So,
okay, cool.
So, just like you would, just like if you were, you were like, okay, I want an agent for commercial, I want an agent for theatrical, you would probably, you would just want that division to be strong. And they're definitely.
And have relationships in that field.
Yeah. And that's kind of what they do. Like, you start getting 5 auditions a day, okay, they have a strong voiceover person because they're constantly pitching you for that. They're constantly getting breakdowns for that, you know. So I would definitely say you can Google that. But that's kind of what I did. I went to this place called voicebank.net, and that's where you could actually hear, the demos of the clients that they had. And I don't know if that site is still up there, but that's how I found my agent. I literally found, actually somebody told me it was voicebank.net, and they was like, it had all it had all the agents, and it had all the talents that they represented. So I listened to all the, I can do that. And then me having my own gear already, I just made my own reel.
Record your own stuff.
Just made my own reel, and then I submitted it. And then I think Osbrink was the first person to call, and I've been with him ever since. Maureen, if you're watching,
hey, shout out to Osbrink.
Thank you for taking a chance on me. And I made Maureen some money.
And so this is something I've wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Because we got stunt guys on here all the time, and we talk about the battle scars and the wounds. I know you do. But my question for you, separate from that, is are there any injuries or are there any risks or anything that you've ever encountered that affected your voice? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have to do any maintenance, or do you have to do anything special to take care of this vocal box? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one. You know what? You know what's funny? Learning a different language can sometimes destroy your diction.
Wow.
Like I'm a real proponent of trying to make sure that I emulate the perfect sound, and I'm really big on just trying to make it sound as authentic as possible, because if I want to act, I want to be able to do the conventional. I don't want to just speak Russian and then it sound like a guy trying to do Russian. I want to sound like, this dude is a native speaker. So I'm really big on the way it sounds. But the caveat is I have to do elocution every day. Even if I wasn't doing it, I would still have to do elocution every day.
Okay.
I have to do stuff every day just to keep this
the
thing going. Like, the lips, the teeth, the tip. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do, but I have to do that daily. And if I don't do it, I can actually feel it.
Wow.
I can feel it. Like,
can you hear it, or you?
You can obviously hear it, because I feel like if you're talking rapid fire, or you have this thing where you have to do, it's just, and then you flub a word or something. Oh, let's do another take. Kind of flubbed it there, and it's just like, especially like with French and Japanese, my L's and R's have just Oh,
wow.
So sometimes I really have to do like a thing that I do call I really like lettuce. I really like lettuce. Or accessing astral worms, like stuff like that. Like some weird stuff that just really stretch your mouth. But you'll be surprised that, you know, even if you didn't talk English for a couple of days,
Totally.
you know, you'd feel it. And then the things that we're asked to do doesn't necessarily sound like what you would sound in everyday speech. Like sometimes there's copy and they want you to billboard stuff and it's like, you know, it's just not the way you talk. So it can really fumble you up. And if you're on the clock and they're like, hey, I got to get this, you don't want to lose out on this huge campaign because it's like, oh, well, they can't do it. It's like, I'm bad at legal. Like, I'm like,
Dang.
I'm not a legal guy. And I'm just like, It's like, oh, do we really want to pay 2 actors to do the copy and legal? No. So I really have to like work on that and diction. I know where my weaknesses are, but you know, luckily I can act. That's right? Helps me a lot.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
And last question that I had, just as far as like some of these random things I just always wanted to know about voice stuff, which is separate union, or are you guys part of the same union as us?
Same union, same pay. So we have a 4-hour workday. It's amazing. So that's why you say a lot of TV actors, like their daytime job sometimes will be like animation, original animation, because it's just such a good pocket to be in. Just because, you know, and even if you, and we'll go a step above that, if you get like those feature animations, like those Pixar, oh my gosh.
Do you get residuals as a voice actor?
Oh yes.
Damn.
Yes, you do. Yes, I've made more money as a voice actor than anything.
100%.
It's not even close.
I was gonna say, especially because a lot of those pies are split between very few people, comparative to like a feature film like Avengers. Yeah, that's split between so many people.
Now, mind you, Avengers, you both making some money, but it's just there's, and when you look at like 100 credits, like, you know, it's actually, when you look at a voiceover guy, you can tell a voiceover guy on IMDb because you'll see like 400, 500 things, because there's just so much work to do. Yeah, and it ends up being the same people over and over and over again, because, you know, it's a very, like, you know, like stunts.
Small community.
I need somebody who can fight and can hit a mark, who's not going to hurt my actor, who's this week all. Like, I need a guy I can trust and works tomorrow. You're going to go off of who you know.
100. And who's good.
Yeah, and it's just like, so it's just, you know, there's certain people can do it all the time because they voiced 5 things. So they work 5 times a week.
Just killing it. Yeah.
So it's just,
Damn.
Yeah.
Not a bad life. You kind of inspired me, dog. I got the equipment already.
Yeah, I'm just saying
too,
dog. And you already got the credits. I mean, you did Sleeping Dogs.
I'm about to just rewatch this episode a bunch of times. Watch it back, Chris.
And if there's anything that you need, like, and that's what I say, like, I ask for a lot from my friends, from my peers, but I give a lot too. Totally. So if there's any information that you need or anything that you haven't, like, hit me up. I'm a resource. Anything I can do to give back, let me know. I invest in my people, like, not even just because I want to risk it, just because I believe genuinely, dog, you are a good dude.
Thank you, man.
And that's why I take time out of my day to be here. And then, you know, you got a decent following too. So I'm like, if I can get in front of your followers, get my followers up. I'm trying to get some M&Ms on the gram. I'm kidding. Man. But no, generally, I think you're a good dude. So if there's anything that I can do to further your signal, or, you know, let me know. Hit me up anytime, day and night.
No, I appreciate it, man. And likewise, it's we've had a very interesting relationship over the years, from the Dumbfounded video to training together alongside each other to a lot of people may not know. They can try to look it up, but I even was on one of your shows called Bootleg Serial.
Oh yes, yeah.
Where you sat and interviewed me for like 10 minutes. So.
Yes. See, I was, you know, you see the thing. I was early to the game enough. Like, I was early, but the thing is, I never got the meta tags. My tags were always whack. So I was just like, I'm not getting any traction. I don't know why, but it just didn't.
But it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Now you're sitting in my interview chair.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. Hell yeah, man.
Yes.
And so I mean, dude, you've left like invaluable advice on the table, and like we said, at this point, if y'all don't Google it, that's your fault, you know.
Yes.
But one of the things that I always leave people with, and like this is a question that really hits home to me, especially with people like you that are like an acquaintance outside of the business world. Mm-hmm. And I asked this because I wanted to see what happens over the next few years. I just always ask, you know, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years from now? And where do you see yourself in the next 10 years from now? And a lot of our friends haven't had answers, which is all good, and some of them do. So I'm just curious to see if you do have a plan or some aspirations.
I do. It's funny. I spend a lot of time, writing stuff, and I'm very big on visualizing. So in the next 5 years, I will have liked to have had maybe 2 or 3 things come out, and then maybe a thing in development. So I actually write quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I would love to have, I would love to have this movie that I'm working out come out, do gangbusters, and be able to make my own content on a big scale, on a global level. I mean, theatrically released within the system, and be able to put my friends to work.
Yeah.
And then to have that platform, to be a voice for my people, to be a voice for people who haven't necessarily had the breaks, but have the talent. So that's kind of where I see myself in 5 years. In 10 years, I want to do that, but just scaled up internationally.
Okay. Not a bad answer, Doug.
Not a bad answer. That's just why I'm learning all of these languages.
100%.
It's gonna take a while. But they're all major territories, and I'm learning these for a while. But I would love to just be fluent and have all that locked in, by then, and then really just be able to, break down cultural barriers, understand people, because we're all people. We all go through the same things. Mm-hmm. We all want to have a good living, have a safe place, make a good living, have a safe place to live, provide for our loved ones, and and live our best life. That's all any of us want. Yeah. And I think the smaller the world gets, the more we understand each other, collectively, the further we can move.
100%.
Yeah.
That's a dope answer, Doug. And like I said, the reason why I asked this is just because, A, I just like to know what my friends have goals and dreams of. Yeah. And B, more than anything, I don't want this to be the last time you come sit down. Yo, go sell one of your projects, come sit down, and we have a whole JAMCast just about that one.
Let's do it, man.
So
I'll bring you on set, man. We do behind the scenes exclusive footage.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I know you got some exciting stuff on the plate. We were having a talk before the JAMCast started. Little JAMCast after dark talks. So the people can't hear those, but yeah, man, it's crazy to see full circle. And
I'm directing my first porno, starring and directing it, and I'm actually scoring it. The same time I'm acting.
And he did all the ADR.
Yes, I did all the ADR. Both the guy and the female sound. I did all the sound. Yeah,
I got range, son. I got range.
Xylophone.
Yo, man. Well, Doug, like I said, more than anything, I appreciate you coming down and sharing your insight and advice. But more than anything, man, I appreciate the friendship over the years. It's a beautiful thing to see and see where we all come. And look back at an old freestyle knockout video to see you.
Spray hands. You owe me $5,000 for that video. Right? I'll take the analytics, mother.
Oh, it's so crazy, man. But yeah, man. So before we get out of here, man, if you can look into this camera and just let people know where they can follow you.
Hello, is this thing on? Okay. All right. So I'm super easy to follow. All right. Now my middle name is Jay. It looks like Jai, but it's Jay. You can find me on everything at Chris J. Alex.
It'll be on the screen.
Chris J. Alex. Did I do it?
Yep. There it is. And it does go right to that's the right direction.
Follow me, please. Check out the IMDb. I just need y'all to rock with me because we got some cool things going. See Thundercats. Play Darksiders Genesis. Play watch Deathstroke and all that good stuff. And they changed the name of it. It used to be Document Out of the Fire Furnace when it comes out. Oh my God. All right. I've been Chris J. Alex. Thank you so much. I love you.
Hell yeah, guys. And guys, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for brand new jam breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Chris J. Alex himself. So as always, guys, I got to give a very special shout out to Mr. Connor Simon for running the cameras in the Switcher app as always. I got to give a very special shout out to our special guest this week, Mr. Chris J. Alex. And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, see you all soon. Bye.